Welcome to a noob's guide to Taurox. This is Taurox the Brass Bull, the Slaughterhorn, Bloodbeast, the Brazen One, a double-stacked Doom Bull responsible for half the world's anabolic steroid consumption, who holds the record for all-time contributions to the American Red Cross. A legendary lord in the Silence and the Fury DLC for Total War Warhammer, Taurox isn't the quiet one. He's rage incarnate, with molten metal skin and an endless hunger for flesh, who wanders the land as a ravaging horde faction. Taurox is a juice-stacking, unstoppable engine of destruction, but Mr. Doom Bull Olympia here wasn't always a shredded furry silver surfer. He started out as just another jacked minotaur, who made himself chieftain by murdering anyone who looked him directly in the eyes, and then eating their fresh corpses. As all beastmen know, you can consume someone's power by gorging on their flesh, which is perfectly reasonable, as ritual cannibalism shows up in accounts of our own world history, as well as the 1999 Guy Pearce frontier adventure film Ravenous, so you know it's based on real science. Because if you want to be the A1 prime minotaur, you've got to be the biggest, baddest bull in the chop house. Chemical estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone are hard to come by in Warhammer. Chowing down on Rocky Mountain oysters fresh from the sack is the fastest way for Taurox to put on mass. You can't be Marshal of Moon Mesa without a chiseled front lat spread and a Christmas tree fit for Rockefeller Plaza. Imperial outriders following the Slaughterhorn tribe's trail of destruction report it trampling market towns, garrisons, flagellant camps, and temples. But curiously, cow pastures are left untouched. There, the hoof prints seem to form an orderly queue outside the barn. And if you understood that joke, go ahead and subscribe, there's plenty more where that came from. Taurox soon drew the attention of the Fell Powers. His mastery of blatant butchery appealed to Khorne's complete lack of subtlety, and Khorne sent an emissary to visit Taurox late one night with a gift of unspeakable power: rune-tortured axes. These magic cleavers give Taurox the only stats he cares about: attack and damage, with sides of even more offense and a garnish of parsley. But the Chaos Lackey made the mistake of looking Taurox directly in the eyes, and got his head bit off before they could make a deal. Turns out a demon with acid for blood can give you one hell of a bad trip, and Taurox spasmed and screamed and tried to dig out the spiders that were crawling out of his arms before picking up the new axes and hacking all the one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eaters he saw around him into a fine red paste. For a year and a day, Taurox wandered alone in an unstoppable blind rampage, murdering beastmen tribes, witch covens, Manfred, ogre mercenaries, empire patrols, questing knights, giants, and Manfred again because that undead backstabbing mother in particular, until at last, Taurox collapsed, utterly spent, surrounded by a river of blood from the countless peasants he'd trampled. The dark gods were so ecstatically pleased with this offering, they raised a scarlet moon in the sky and branded him a new member of the God Hand. Taurox plunged his maw into the gory river and drank until the blood sluiced and boiled inside him. He emerged from that river of red a tireless, unstoppable monster, with dumps like a truck, thighs like what, and a shiny brass butt. Which, how useful is that, really? Brass skin? I mean, Taurox is a metal dude who's still wearing armor. Taurox begins his campaigns in the cold teat of Nagarond, so obviously he's based on Devon cattle, whose 8mm thick skin give them natural cold resistance. 8mm of brass requires 5 tons of pressure to pierce with a bullet. With a bevy of skills that boost defense and ward saves, most weapons just bounce right off Taurox, but none of that matters because the Chaos Gods left an exposed spot on Taurox's throat. Sure, any peasant with a black arrow can still drop him by rolling double sixes, but at least now he's corrosion resistant. On the tabletop, Taurox could die instantly from an unlucky roll, but in Total War it never comes up, which makes your Vortex campaign goal of healing your video game boss weak point a bit pointless, really, as Taurox is already fully capable of goring any matador dumb enough to draw his attention. He works on Marvel Red Hulk rules, where the angrier he gets, the more powerful and hotter he gets, until he's built up so much heat, he uses his Bloodbeast ability to blow off steam and scald anyone around him. Because again, brass is crap at thermoregulation, and a hot, rage-filled cowman has got to outgas somehow, so he might as well Majin Buu it. This steamy Brazen Bull attack, and Taurox in general, was likely inspired by an ancient Sicilian execution device. Prisoners were locked in a hollow bronze bull statue, and then a fire was lit under it. Those inside would roast to death, while the steam bellowed out of its nostrils with the sound of a bull's roar. Visiting tourists probably rubbed its testicles for luck as well. Because if you're into worshipping uncontrollable forces of virility, Taurox is the pull for you. Thanks to their rework, Beastmen are the new it faction. Their units now have no upkeep, no recruitment costs, and are meant to never stop moving, raiding, and raising until they've left a bloody skid mark a mile wide behind them. As you win battles in a province, Taurox will leave rivers of blood in his wake, a stackable regional effect that increases leadership for chaos races and decreases it for everyone else, while also spreading chaos corruption. Think of rivers of blood sort of like a terrifying no trespassing sign for the AI, made out of used tampons and severed limbs. Taurox specializes in Doom Bull and Minotaur upgrades, adding charge, damage, and damage reduction to them, as well as a handy healing spell called Gore Feast, to make them truly horrible companions. All Minotaurs hunger for flesh, but they're not roid-raged out hangry machines. They have a deep, insatiable thirst that can only be quenched by the unholy communion of man blood, and also purple Gatorade. Taurox even gets a special raiding stance that gives him extra movement range to chow down on man parts faster, though it comes at the cost of loot, which is no big loss as they just wipe themselves with it anyway, because to recruit more Minotaurs, Taurox doesn't use money, he uses dread, the bespoke Beastmen resource used for upgrades, because anthropomorphized barnyard animals don't need money and the calculated cost of having their enemy wet themselves is as good a currency as any. This works perfectly with Taurox's rage mechanic, which is really the best-in-show feature of this DLC, as you gain rampage points by signing peace treaties, developing your economy, and furthering the— just kidding, no, you go murder shit. And as you do, you'll get points that give 3 levels of increasing buffs. But the real reason you'll care is this tiny, nondescript button down here in the corner of nowhere. When pressed, it subtracts 2 rage points from your bar, and resets all of your movement. Yes, it's taken from 3 Kingdoms, and yes, it makes Taurox the Lu Bu of Warhammer, or Mu Lu, or maybe Lu Bull. But regardless, it means you can press a button, move, attack again, get more rampage points to press the button, move, attack, press the button, move, attack, and turn this game into the Daytona 500 as you do laps around Ulthuan, putting down herdstones and farming so much dread you could star in a 1995 film or its much better 2012 sequel. And if you're really feeling frisky, you can pick up the Sword of Cain and laugh as all of its negative effects don't apply to the Beastmen and Taurox burns the world to the ground. The only thing that can remotely even keep up with Taurox are the new units included in his DLC. The Doom Bull Lord, a Minotaur general who is good at being uber tanky and Sonic the Hedgehogging his way through enemy armies, a Wargore hero who is a melee hero that can buff other beastmen in battle with support abilities and generally is inferior in every way to Minotaurs, Tuskgore chariots, cheap, high-mass chariots drawn by wild pigs with too many horns stuck on to make anatomical sense because the art team ran out of ideas and thought, hey, let's make it a unicorn too. Gorgons, 4-armed minotaurs who have grown to monstrous size by living on a steady diet of other minotaurs, gaining additional mutations with each rump roast eaten so that now they're huge anti-large units who can naturally heal themselves in battle and are freaking awesome, and jabberslyths. Half-toad, half-sludge drake, and half-insect who are entirely poisonous and terrifying because chaos. The Jabberslyth is a top-tier anti-infantry monster with powerful AoE spells and a passive leadership buff, who are almost unnecessary as Taurox can easily get by with a thematic all-bovine army of Doom Bulls, Minotaurs, and Gorgons ready to march out and chew the cud as the new extremist arm of PETA. Just remember to keep them well fed to keep their bestial rage high, as if they swallow something important, it's going to be a while until you get it back as they have 4 stomachs to go through before you find it again. So now it's time for you to take Taurox and set off to begin his slaughter anew. Show them that you can take the Minotaur out of the labyrinth, but you can't take the man guts that he feasts upon out of the Minotaur. And this time, Taurox will not be stopped, cannot be stopped, until someone finds a way to put this little brass engine of mass destruction that could into the ground once and for all. But good luck to anyone that tries. And that was a noob's guide to Taurox the Brass Bull. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to be notified about future releases, or join our Patreon and vote on upcoming noob's guides. But as always, thanks for watching.